$500 is feasible. Now, if it comes at $700, it's all corporate greed. This doesn't make any sense, Danny. How in the world is console gaming going to survive given the chain of events that Microsoft has kicked off over the last week? Have you been keeping up?
No.
All right. Well, in this episode, number 11, we're going to be talking about the future of console gaming, specifically with bold moves that that Microsoft, forced to have it, that Microsoft has done over the last week. And Microsoft is not messing around here. We kind of made some predictions. We kind of made some, I don't know, we thought about a couple of things. We compared Microsoft with Sega, but I think comparing it with Sega was kind of premature, to be honest. And in this episode, we're going to get into the details. So, Danny, how are we doing on a fine Sunday night?
Doing good. How are you doing?
You look fully well rested.
Thanks.
All right. Well, so Microsoft comes out swinging a couple of announcements this week that we need to talk about. Number one, collaboration with Meta, as we now have a Meta Quest 3S. I think that's the name. Not the 3, but the 3S, the cheaper one that they made. And that's $400. It's black with green accents. It's got the good band that doesn't put a lot of weight on the front, like it's more evenly distributed.
Yeah.
It's got a matching Xbox controller and matching Meta Quest controllers, all like very subtle green accent with kind of like your hat, basically.
Oh, that's cool. So it's basically an Xbox Quest.
Well, it's a Meta Quest. There's no question about that. But what's exclusive about it, other than the little Xbox logo you get on it, is that it comes with 3 months of Game Pass.
Oh, dang.
And the premise here is that you can have a 120-inch TV and be playing your games. You wouldn't play VR per se, but through the headset, you have this massive screen.
You like this? Whoa.
Yeah.
But through goggles? Whoa.
Yeah. But it's a bold move, right? Because this is, one, not a Microsoft platform. 2, not HoloLens. If you've ever even heard of HoloLens, it's Microsoft's augmented reality platform they made like a decade ago. And 3, this is in conjunction with the Ally that we talked about last time, right? The Asus ROG Ally, and which we're going to talk about in more detail in a second as well. But it's an interesting move, right? Where you can now play Xbox games, specifically exclusive, or I don't even want to say the word exclusive anymore, right? But for first party titles in a VR headset.
That's kind of cool.
It just works. It's kind of cool. But it opens up a new trend, right? It opens up a new direction. And Microsoft, so you remember how last week we were talking about how Microsoft's slowly becoming Sega?
Yeah.
But there's a big difference here. Sega became a publisher. But Microsoft is taking it like a step further, and they're not a publisher per se.
They're a supplier. Here's my games.
But it's more than that, right? Because what they're doing essentially is they're taking their software power. Microsoft's been making software since the 70s, and they're enabling this unified experience beyond the Xbox, right? And so another big news that came out this week was Microsoft is partnering up with Steam, Battle.net, and a few others to essentially allow you to play all of your games library in one location with one unified UI. Does that make sense? Like you're going to launch it.
Combine Steam, Epic Games Launcher, Battle.net, Activision's version of that.
Yeah.
Square Enix version of that. Put them all on one hub.
One hub. So once, like, it looks and feels like an Xbox, but the sources are now from everywhere else. And I think this puts Nintendo and Sony in a very interesting spot because it's always about content. Right? Since the beginning of time, it has been your audience will go to where the games they want to play are. Nintendo has known this for decades because if you want to play Mario, there's only one place to play Mario.
That's Switch
Right?
too.
The reason why Switches sell. But on the Sony and Microsoft side, over the last couple of years, we've seen this trend kind of go in the opposite direction. But now here's Microsoft saying like, we're a unifier. We bring everybody together, and it's your games wherever you want. And Microsoft's going to double down on what they do best, which is software.
Yeah, I think PlayStation Now is pretty much dead, right?
I think so, right? I think PlayStation or Sony was scrambling over the week because this is going to this concept of a console war is just like it's going to be game over. Because there's no more console war, right? Like we're seeing Meta headset, you can play Xbox games. We're seeing Asus ROG Ally,
Handheld
right?
Xbox games
and handheld. Well, it's full-fledged games in handheld mode, right? But on top of that, Microsoft's on the Windows side, right? So on the just on the PC side, I'm confusing my brands. Microsoft's basically coming out and saying like, hey, we're just gonna give you a UI that just works and just you have your games. There's no more launchers and this and that or the other. Find this library, find that library. Like your games, your game saves as you move from one place to another, from one device to the other. We're going to be an integrator system where everything is just kept together. And then you got Sony saying, well, we're still doing consoles. And then you got Nintendo saying like, well, we're just doing that thing. And it's going to be an interesting move because like gamers are going to speak loudest where they have the biggest convenience.
I think Nintendo is always going to have their own ecosystem. It's never going to be until they start putting their games on Steam and stuff, which they haven't, they won't. They're not going to be susceptible to dying. Right? You can still only play Nintendo games on Nintendo services or consoles.
But don't you think that that's going to be a dying breed?
Nintendo?
Well, no. You and I still care about Nintendo games. My kid could care less about playing the next Mario game.
But my kid loves Pokemon, and he's going to grow up with Nintendo. It's just the way you raise him, buddy.
Just the way you raise him?
Yeah, your kid doesn't even know. Your kid doesn't even like Fortnite. Weirdo.
No, my kids like Fortnite. They just prefer Roblox.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I was very mesmerized watching Jeremy play that Squid Game. Did you see that when he was playing?
Yeah. No, I mean, I will tell you that I think my kids now, though, my kids could care less about consoles in general. And I think there will be a divide where what happens when your kid expects to play Pokemon on his whatever device he's on? Right? Because what happens when 9 games out of 10 are going to be wherever they want, and then they're going to have to buy that one console?
I thought that's me growing up, man. I wanted to play Halo. I bought an Xbox. Did I expect my Halo to play on my Game Boy? No. Game Boy was for Pokemon.
Right. But the times are changing in that you can now buy a device and all your games library, minus Nintendo, will be there. Because even Sony's playing game, right? Sony is going to offer up exclusives as well.
I think Sony already fell into the trap, unless it was very open. But when Spider-Man, the PlayStation exclusive games, came to Steam, that was before Xbox announced their whole idea was Steam. So I think Sony had already walked into it. And Microsoft's like, gotcha. Got God of War. I got Sony, I got Spider-Man.
They're guilty by association.
Yeah, they walked into Steam, and then Microsoft's like, thank you. That's what I'm saying. Nintendo's safe because they haven't done that yet. You cannot play any games outside the Nintendo ecosystem.
But I kind of feel like Nintendo is not safe because of that.
Maybe in certain pockets of demographics, like the kids that grew up with iPads. But my kid's not going to get an iPad. Me and McKenna already talked about it. He's going to have a Switch because the Switch is a closed network Nintendo device. You can't even add people without a friend code. It's super safe.
Super safe. Yeah, but then
that's what I'm saying. There's going to be different pockets of kids. And eventually school will bring them on to one.
I get that, right? But you're also then at that point limiting yourself quite a bit.
Me or my kid?
Nintendo. because the demographic, the audience the pool gets smaller.
But they get older. And I know a lot of Nintendo Switch people that are at that line playing Smash Bros. I don't play Smash Bros like that, but there is that group. There is a group of people that still play religiously. I've seen them.
Yeah,
they exist.
I don't know. I think Nintendo, again, my 2 cents. If I had to personally see this going to the future, and I was Nintendo, I would
You
open
would
up
play
the
game?
IP.
You would play
I would
game?
I would open it up
For what?
to do the Microsoft thing, right? Where in the whatever Microsoft's gonna call their platform, I want to just be able to play all my games library in one location.
But I think you should.
Then
If
I'm,
you're Nintendo,
but then I'm willing to go digital at that point.
but yeah, welcome to the future. Finally, I
Well,
was just
'cause
talking to Tony.
if I can buy once and play everywhere, that is a future.
Yeah, I was talking. Well, dude, okay, I've been telling you this. You're like, oh, come to my house to
No,
play
but you
Halo
can't do
Collection.
that. But it's fragmented today,
Not that
right?
much.
But it's still fragmented.
Okay, where? Tell me right now where it's fragmented. I'll tell you if it is or isn't.
Well, case in point is Epic Game Stores versus Steam, right? There's games on one and there's games on the other. Yeah, I mean, you have to still use them both.
You don't. You can still play crossplay.
I get that, but you still have to have separate installers, separate stores, separate payments.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
that's so. Like, for example, Splitgate is a multiplayer Halo game type Halo game that came out. I have it installed in Epic Games. Tony has it installed in Steam. We launch it up together, and we can.
But I'm not arguing that part. I'm arguing that for me to carry my collection with me right now, it's fragmented. I have to.
Okay.
There's games that I have on the Xbox. There's games that I'm gonna have on Steam. Games that I'm gonna have on the Switch. Games that I'm gonna have on the PS5. Right? It's fragmented like it was for the last 30 years. But Microsoft's offering a feature where like there's no more fragmentation. you pay once and you play everywhere.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
And the convenience of just, you press one button and you have this nice UI and you have all your game libraries. It doesn't matter where they originated from. It doesn't matter if you got them on Steam or Battle.net or Epic Game Store or the Microsoft Store or the PlayStation Store, right? Like they all are just right there ready to play. Then there's Nintendo. And that's what I'm saying. Like at one point it's gonna be like, and then there's Nintendo, right? Like that's the part that's gonna hurt Nintendo.
Maybe. But they're powerful, man. You know, the biggest brand ever that makes a bunch of money is Pokemon, right? Like, look up the number one in brand that makes the much money. It beats Mickey Mouse. It beats Disneyland. It's Pokemon. Nintendo owns that. You cannot play Pokemon outside of Nintendo. It makes so much money.
I get that. I feel, but it's a dangerous. It's a dangerous place to be, Danny. From a business perspective, it's a dangerous place to be.
I think it's actually saving them, in my opinion. If they open the doors and they walk into Steam like PlayStation did, why at that point? Why would I get a Nintendo Switch 2 when I could just buy a Steam Deck?
But you don't because But that's the great part, because for the last 30 years, every manufacturer of a game console has been selling their consoles at a loss to recoup the money at the software. And here's an opportunity to completely cut out the loss and just make the profit.
So have someone else make the hardware, and you just provide the games.
Yes, like it would open up the opportunity for everybody to play Mario, because regardless of where they're at, whether they're on an iPhone or they're on an iPad or they're on a tablet or whatever they're on, they cannot play the game they want to play.
Nintendo culture is very, 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 very heavy-handed. Have you seen, like, you can't even YouTube stream Mario without certain things.
That. So but that's what's going to kill them.
They're going to lose control, and they don't want.
But that's what I'm arguing. They're gonna become a dying breed if it continues down that path.
I just don't know. They have a lot of staying power. I personally think they can hold their own.
It'll break over time.
How long?
I give it the next decade.
So one more console generation.
Yeah.
With all the changes they're making right now. 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I give it in that 10 years because, especially at the pace that these games are, like, Microsoft's moving at, right? Because again, it just from the pure like we see this on the Apple side as well, right? Like Look, I was watching this great. I'll give you a little side story. Do you know who Johnny Ives is?
No.
So, if you ever held an iPhone or a Mac or an iPod, or that iconic, blue, yeah, maybe not that iPhone, another one. Do you ever remember those iconic iMacs with the color backs that are old school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So this
translucent looking.
yeah, this British dude named Jonathan Ives, he designed all those devices.
That's cool.
Okay. The very first MacBook that you had, designed by Jonathan Ives. So he's a bit of a well-known designer of hardware,
Hmm.
right? One of the most iconic. I mean, the iPhone silhouette is him, right? The iPod silhouettes are him, right? And so he left Apple a few years ago, and he was doing a couple projects for Apple, but then he kind of built his own company, and then it kind of went silent for the last like 5 years. And just a few weeks ago, OpenAI bought him and his company for like $1 billion. Okay. And they're going to work on the next generation of hardware integrated with artificial intelligence.
Does this have something to do with Mattel saying they're going to work with OpenAI to put AI
No,
into their toys?
no. The reason why this is relevant to the conversation is because OpenAI has made this investment into this chief designer, right? And they're taking a gamble. They're going to create a breakthrough product that is unheard of right now, because Jonathan Ives has has a history of creating breakthrough products, right? And so he's with OpenAI, and then they go and ask Apple, "Hey, what do y'all think about this? Like, your chief designer, because what has Apple created innovatively in the last 10 years?"
They just get something and make it better. What the iWatch is a Fitbit that's better.
Yeah, but
AirPods.
The Apple Watch design has not iterated in 10 years.
That's what I'm saying. They usually get an idea of a pre-existing something, and then they just make
Right.
it better.
Apple for the last 10 years has made money in two ways. Make a newer version of the same product, right? Put some lipstick on it and you're good to go. Or make it so that you have to buy all these accessories because they're so damn easy to lose or change, right? Because you change your cables. So now we all got to change cables. Or
Sure.
lose an AirPod. So you got to go buy a whole new set of AirPods, right?
Yeah.
But here's the troubling part, right? Here's where I'm scared for Apple. Again, I'll bring it why it's all related to this whole gaming thing, right? And Nintendo specifically. Apple's sitting here and you're asking the executives at Apple saying, what do you think about this collaboration between OpenAI and your former chief designer? And Apple's response is, why are we going to worry about a company whose annual revenue is less than our smallest product line that we sell, which is the AirPods? I was like, we're not gonna worry. Like, we're too comfortable to be worried about that. But that's the worst place to be, because OpenAI is going to take a risk and create something revolutionary, right? And Pokemon, as much as you say that Pokemon's amazing right now, what happens when somebody creates something revolutionary that's only available on the other platform that is not Nintendo? Because the other ones are taking the risk, right? The other ones are gonna create this new. Can you imagine, like, just a version of Pokemon that you could play on any device with any person?
Are we talking about Power World?
I don't know, what is that?
You haven't. That's a huge thing, man. So Steam, somebody put on Steam a game called Power World, where you essentially catch Pokemon and you build bases and you battle gym leaders, you do everything. And Nintendo came and sued them to the ground. But it was everywhere for a little while and it was fun. But I'm just saying, like, no, Nintendo takes care of what they know it's their IP. You can't get
No, I get that. So I'm not saying that somebody's gonna copy, but
something better.
I mean, if you go back to first principles, right? There's certain characteristics of the Pokemon brand that enticed people and locked people into that world, right? That drew people into the world of Pokemon. But you can't patent first principles, right? You can't put copyrights on first principles. So somebody's gonna create an experience that makes you feel like Pokemon, that doesn't infringe on Pokemon's copyrights, and it's gonna be in this new world that Microsoft's creating, and then there's gonna be Nintendo on their own. And like, that's, from a business perspective, that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, you want them to play a game and be a part of it, which
Yeah,
I think would be awesome. But like you already saw, with Fortnite. Fortnite had God of War, right? What's his name? Kratos, Master Chief, and an Apple guy. That guy was an Apple representing the Apple dude from Apple. But they just could not get Samus because Nintendo said no,
No.
thank you. Only you can only get it exclusively on the Switch. So I'm saying, like, they said no to playing game many times.
I know, but I'm telling you that if Nintendo keeps this up, Nintendo will cease to exist.
I don't know. I don't think so. Their
You don't
Switch
think so?
sold out really fast.
I get that.
What's their numbers now for Switch 2?
I haven't seen that new.
It's not even a big, like, huge leap in innovation. It's just more powerful Switch, right?
They're becoming Apple.
Yeah. But
they're becoming Apple because the Switch 2 is literally just an iterative thing. It didn't revolutionize in any way, shape, or form.
But it still sold a bunch really, really fast.
Again, for now.
Yeah. Well, I guess the telling sign would be the next generation and see how well it keeps up. I just think a lot. Yeah.
I have an article here that says the Nintendo Switch 2 may be the last of its kind. Enjoy it while you still can.
What's the kind?
Well, let's read it together. Here's the headline. The Nintendo Switch 2 may be the last of its kind. Enjoy it while you still can. Video game industry loves to tout figures, record-breaking sales numbers, astonishing revenue growth, dazzling quantities of concurrent players. It makes sense that people who make and play games love numbers. They're proof someone's winning. Also, competition, just a little sidebar, competition drove adoption, right? Like, I remember being a kid and saying, like, no, screw you, like, Halo's the best, so Microsoft's the best. And somebody was like, no, Mario's the best, and so the GameCube was the best, right?
Who said that? Bunch of weirdos.
People formed alliances to their consoles.
Yeah, mostly PlayStation and Xbox. No one liked the GameCube over anything, dude.
No, but people almost like a religion align themselves to their consoles, to the brand that they love the most. And it was the brand that had the games that they loved the most, right? The only reason I tolerated PlayStation is because I loved Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts was only a PlayStation thing, right?
But now Kingdom Hearts is now on everything.
Yeah, well, again, so I'm making an argument from before, right? All I'm saying is that when there's a console war right now that's been going on since the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, right?
Yeah.
But what happens when the console war ends? Because effectively, Microsoft says we're not making consoles. Sony says we're not making consoles. Like, if there's no war to fight, did you win by default? Because the players are gonna game. It's just not a war that, like, like I'm trying to say, like, the rules of engagement are gonna change, and like Nintendo's over here like fighting this fight, but like the fight left.
I don't even think Nintendo was ever fighting the fight. I promise you, I think it was always PlayStation versus Xbox. Nintendo's always done their own thing.
I don't think so, Danny, because we had the Wii. The Wii's the number one selling console. It competed. Well, from a technology perspective, Nintendo hasn't competed since 2006.
That's what I'm saying. They've been doing their own thing. The Wii sucked. I mean, it's good in different ways, but it wasn't like, I'm not playing Call of Duty on the Wii. You know, you play Call of Duty on PlayStation or Xbox. The Wii sold out, but it was Nintendo playing their own stuff, dude. It sold out for Wii Sports. You know what I mean?
I can see the argument you're making, which is like the rest of the world might burn over, but Nintendo's gonna be Nintendo
and do their own thing.
I just think that there will be a moment where there's gonna be a demographic who does not care about Nintendo anymore. And that's when Nintendo's going to be in trouble.
Perhaps. But you can play Roblox on a Switch.
Just not in 4K laying on your bed.
Who the heck is playing 4K Roblox and why? If you tell me your kid's playing 4K Roblox, I'm concerned.
Hey
for
man,
no
that ray
reason.
tracing is next gen.
Holy moly! Look at the sunset, Dad. Why don't you go outside?
All right, this article is way too big for me to read this. All right.
Look at this. The ray tracing is amazing. Little Legos running around.
Well, last 5 minutes of the podcast today, let's talk about Fortnite
Yes.
because they have some new
Squid
changes.
Games.
Squid Games. Have you played it?
Yeah, me and Tony played it.
What was that like?
The map, so it's only in a, all right, so there's different game modes, right? There's the overall battle royale. This isn't only in the reload map. So now you're going to ask me, what's reload? When you die, as long as one teammate is still alive, you'll come back. So instead of you're dead and you're out, as long as, like, let's say me, you, and Junior are fighting and then you die and then I die and Junior just starts running for his life for 10 seconds and stays alive, we'll come back. And then we'll just keep leapfrogging until we're all dead, you know? So it's an interesting game. So that's reload. It's a smaller map. So that's probably why they made that the Squid Base Island or Squid Game Island. Have you seen Squid Games?
Yeah.
So the island they're on is what this is based on. So one part of the island is that red light, green light place. Another part's the place where they lick the cookie to open it up. So the different parts of the show are in there, which is pretty cool. And the skins are awesome, dude. You want to play Fortnite as this guy? You can.
Regular Squid Games. I mean, regular Fortnite, no, not the reload.
You one skin across everything. Doesn't matter. So yeah, you can. There's actually not even that much money. I think I was looking at like $15. You can get every single Squid Game skin. So it's like, that's like what, $20 skins for $15. Not bad. It's a really good deal. The map is cool. Very simplistic.
Very Squid-like vibe.
Yeah.
But
the cool. Mm-hmm. So those are just the guns that are in the game right now in that mode. So it's pretty cool. And then they have ranked. You can get some cool like stuff like that spray. That's a spray. You can get that for hitting a certain rank. That's the Game Master skin. It's pretty cool. You can buy that one too. It's all for sale.
It's all for sale. Just
see, there it is. Boom, boom, boom. There's all the skins. You can play as that guy, that girl, those two skins. Then they also have the Fortnite original skins wearing the tracksuit. So, and then there's an emote, some back bling. Those back blings are, you can put it on your back. So when you run around, you have the cookie on your back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I like it. You should play with us.
I did install Steam on my computer and Epic Games on my computer.
Do you have Steam?
Yeah.
Okay, so download the game Peak. I would like to play that with you and Junior. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. No.
I'm just going to the charts to see where it's at. Peak.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's it. Me and Junior were playing this earlier. We have to work together to climb a mountain. It's really fun. Very simple. You'll like it. Things happen. Like we're climbing and then all of a sudden it started raining. And I'm like, Junior, I'm slipping. And then like reaching out for him. And Junior's like, you remember that scene from Lion King where Mufasa? We're teammates, goddammit. As I'm falling down. It's really fun.
All right. Yeah, no, I downloaded it today because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start playing these games. And
you're gonna start off with Fortnite, and you're gonna start off with Fortnite and Peak. Peak is number 1 right now because all the YouTubers are playing it. That's why you got to stay current. And that's the game that everyone's playing right now. It's Peak. It's. I want
to start playing a few more games, so that's why I downloaded it. I'm like, you know what? It's time to get into it.
What days are you available so I can tell the guys?
Oh, never.
Jesus. Well, they usually get on at like 9.
I'm of the opinion that if I'm going to be playing video games, man, I still want to go beat my Super Nintendo games that I haven't beaten.
Why play old games? You can play new stuff, dude.
Because I like to close chapters in my life, Danny.
Close the chapter. That book is old, bro.
I know, but it haunts me.
We are on a different bookshelf. Like, come on.
You're
still over here.
I understand, but my mind doesn't work like that. Like, I cannot progress to do something new if I have a laundry list of old things I gotta get done. I just cannot make the hop.
You gotta work.
I know. I get there's opportunity costs, and at some point you gotta cut your losses, but my mind just doesn't work like that.
But you have 3 cousins that want to play with you. Current games. You can vibe with us, chill with us, online, talk to us more, and we can all have fun on Peak.
No.
Alex, grab my hand. Grab my hand, Alex. You're gonna be like, what button? What button? As you're falling.
To wrap this conversation up, though, I wanted to ask you a question. How much do you think the Asus ROG Ally X is going to cost?
$700.
You think that that's too much?
No.
You think it's just right?
Okay, so I'm putting it this way. If the new Xbox and new PlayStation is $1,000, what is the equivalent of an Xbox 360 to a DS price? And bring that proportion up. So $1,000, $700 for a handheld. And it puts the Switch looking pretty darn good at $500 at that point. For half the cost of a PlayStation.
So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because roles are changing here dramatically. Let me explain. Microsoft, ever since Microsoft entered the arena in 2001, Nintendo since the 80s, and Sony since the 90s, you've always built the console as a loss leader, right? You always know that the console's going to lose. You're going to make up for it in the software.
Yeah.
That has been like a thing that you've known.
Yeah.
However, hear me out. Asus is a hardware vendor who sells hardware at a profit, right? Asus doesn't sell laptops at a loss. To make it up by selling Microsoft Office, like that doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And Asus doesn't sell software; they make hardware. So Asus has to sell the Nintendo this Ally at a profit because they can't pull what Nintendo did, which is sell it at cost or below cost.
No, because they'll make the money up with games, $80
right.
more.
But Asus doesn't make games.
Exactly.
So
what are you trying to say? Do you think it's expensive?
I think it's gonna be expensive because they're not gonna sell it at a loss. The only way it's gonna be cheap is if Microsoft and Sony and everybody else kicks in deals and says, okay, well, specifically Microsoft, right? Because this is the partnership with Microsoft, and says, okay, we'll kick in a kicker for the loss, like sell it $100 cheap or sell it at $600, and we'll give you the $100.
So,
because at the end of the day, though, Danny, you gotta sell the thing, right? The Nintendo Switch at $500 is still not an accessible console for a lot of people.
So you're thinking that Asus is going to be $500?
I think an Asus is going to compete with a Switch.
I think it's going to be way more. I think it's $700, $750.
No, I think it's going to compete with this. I think it's going to be right around the $500 range. It has to be.
How much money is a Steam Deck OG?
Oh, like $650.
Okay, there's no way the Asus is going to be under $650.
But Danny, there's different things in play here. Microsoft is backing this one up. So Microsoft can't afford to lose it because they're going to make the money on the front end.
Maybe.
On the back end.
But here is where I think if you look at it from strictly a gaming point of view, not money or anything. Well, I guess it's money, but Xbox and PlayStation have to be equal. So when Xbox raised their prices, PlayStation is going to do it. They already did in Australia, right? Equal. Nintendo is always lower. So they're at 500. They're always lower. Wii is always lower than those two guys. But there's a third competitor that we keep forgetting that's eating up a lot of the player base. The PC. Everyone's building a PC. And once you have a PC, you don't need a console anymore. The only reason you get a console is for GTA 6. Which I think is very strategic.
And Mario Kart.
No. So Nintendo's their own thing. That's something else. They're always cheaper. They're 500. So I'm telling you, if a good PC rig that'll last you 10 years, maybe less, maybe more, depending on what you install in it, is like $2,000 for top end gaming. Then it's $1,000 for a console, which makes sense. Then it's $500 for a Switch. I think a handheld console that's not the Switch, but above the Switch, but beneath the Xbox and PlayStation will be $700 starting.
Here's why I think it'll cost $500. Give you my arguments. Let's first of all, let me
Does this
restart
come with Mario Kart World? Is it $500 worth of game?
No. I'm gonna give you like a good compelling reason why this is gonna be. Watch. Let's go see how much the current one costs right now.
Right. Steam, the new Steam Deck or the old one?
The Ally. Just the Ally, right? Because it's getting rebranded. It's getting the Xbox button.
I'll bet you it's gonna just get the basic model.
Right. We'll go with this one. So this one right now is retailing for $650.
Okay. Now you put an Xbox sticker on there and put $50 on it.
Okay. No. Hold up. Here's the argument. Why this can sell for $500. Number one, the R&D for the device has already been factored into this price.
Okay.
There's no more R&D needed for the sheer volume that's going to be sold for the next one.
And the next one, do we have the specs for it, Alex?
It's just a Z2. They just swapped out the CPU.
So it's still 1080?
Yeah.
Not 4K?
I don't think so. I mean, we can check, but pretty sure. I think the base model is, and then the other one's going to be 4K. But
gotcha.
But I'm saying that the R&D, the research and development to figure out the weights, the button placement, the vent placement, the chip design, like the motherboard design, the interconnectivity of it, the battery testing, the screen testing, test out all the different LCDs, which LCD to battery performance, all of that stuff that costs companies money has already been done and is factored into this price of $650. You don't need to do that. Problem is, if they do that, the moment that they sell for $500, you just cannibalize this guy.
Yeah,
but
you're gonna lose this guy.
But you get the benefit that now Microsoft is behind it, and Microsoft's going to push it. So now, reason number two it can cost $500 is because ROG won't have to spend a penny in marketing. Microsoft's going to take care of that for you. Today, this price considers the marketing that our Asus has to do to promote it.
Professor, I got a question.
Yo.
All right. Nintendo has stated, this is Nintendo, that they sell a game premium price because it's a premium console. You're going to tell me that Asus is not going to go with the same mentality that if you sell it for $500 and it's cheaper than the first one, that people aren't going to look at it like a lesser model. Because people are not smart, Alex. They thought the quarter pounder, and then was it the third pounder? They thought the third pounder was smaller than the quarter pounder.
I know,
people
right?
Are not smart.
I get that. No, I get the argument you're trying to make. I'm trying to see if I can.
I'm telling you, it's going to be more expensive. They're going to make it more expensive, so look more premium. I can see that.
I mean, we see that with this one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everything is going up in price. Nothing ever goes down, ever.
But Danny, here's the argument as to why
I'll bet you your house. No, I'm just kidding. You can have my apartment if we lose.
All right, so MetaQuest. Oh, it's sold. I should have bought it. I almost bought this.
That looks actually pretty sick. I didn't see it that color. That's actually awesome.
Yeah. It's $400, right? This one was $400.
Mm-hmm.
And the Quest 3S by itself without the Xbox is $300.
Okay, $50
$100 cheaper.
I'm telling you, dude.
But here's the kicker. Okay,
yeah. And they had this. They had no R&D.
No, hold up. No. But wait. Hold up. The reason that this particular model costs $100 more
is because it's premium.
It's threefold.
Okay, go.
No. One, you get the $70 band. Okay.
Well, okay.
You have to buy it a la carte for the other one.
Okay. So it comes with the band. It's all packaged in.
Yeah. And two, you get the $50 controller. that you got to go buy a la carte for the other one.
Okay.
So right there, you already got $120 or whatever 70 plus 50 is. And 3, you get the Game Pass
For 3 months.
for 3 months, which is what, another $60 there. So you got basically $150, $160 worth of free stuff included in the $100 increase.
Alex,
But is the Ally gonna come with extra stuff that is not in this Ally?
and then
right?
are you
Because
just going to subtract that from the price and be like, it's cheaper?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So yeah. So if it comes out $700,
And then you're like, it does come with Game Pass. So subtract that.
well, that's kind of the argument, right? Like if it comes out more expensive,
It's gonna come out with Game Pass. We already know that. It's Windows is behind it. If they did it for the Quest, they're gonna do it for this. It's gonna be 3 months free.
I still think, but now, yeah, let's just think about quantity though, right? Like,
I'm not buying
many-
it. Are you gonna buy it?
Genuinely,
you're not gonna get a Switch 2, but you're gonna get this thing.
When I feel bad because I had this in my cart the other day and I never bought it. I keep telling my wife I gotta buy limited edition stuff just to hold on to it.
You just gotta buy it, Alex. Sometimes you don't ask your wife.
You just gotta
look at my wife. She's right there. She's shaking her head. You just do it.
I'm telling you though, this
ask for forgiveness later.
I'm telling you, this is gonna cost $500. It's gotta cost $500 because they want to sell copies. If you price out your audience, then you can't buy it.
Then how come this is not $500?
Well, because they did the math and all the R&D and all the stuff, right? I'm telling you, if Microsoft, look, you don't have the R&D, you don't have to do the marketing, you don't have to worry about putting the content because Microsoft's going to put the content on there for you. And if Microsoft throws in a kickback, says, here's $100, we'll help you cut the loss, $500 is feasible. Now, if it comes at $700, it's all corporate greed.
Oh my gosh. So if I'm right, it's corporate greed. I'm telling you, it's $700, bro.
Because of corporate greed.
Well, they don't. Yeah, of course. I'm telling you, they don't need them. Everything can be sold for like $200. It's all made in Vietnam and China, and those poor people are making 15 cents an hour. Okay, I'm telling you right now, everything's corporate greed across the board.
But if it's okay, but now this is the risk that they're gonna carry to make this thing black and add that Xbox button is going to be.
There's no risk. It's a big benefit.
No, it's a risk though. No, but they're risking that people are gonna not buy it because it's now more expensive. Because now the question is gonna be, for $50, do I care about the dumb color in the button?
No, it's not just that. Go back to the other one. Look at the grips. It looks better, easier to hold. Okay.
Actually, if you look really, really closely,
it's an Xbox controller.
No. If you look really, really closely, there and the threading, there it's I don't know where I saw it. Here we go. You have like Xbox buttons on there, like the XYB. Can you see that?
I'm just saying, look at the when you can hold it compared to the other model. I'd pay more money for that. Oh my gosh.
It's the same model, Danny. They just made a. Oh, I see. You don't have controllers on it. Oh.
Now you see. That looks horrible to hold.
Yeah.
That looks
all right. Now it's gonna be $700.
I'm telling you already. It's a whole new model.
At $700, though, it's gonna be a tough sell. I'm not buying it at $700.
I'm not gonna buy it. I'm telling you. Okay, go up right now, just a little bit. Go down a little bit. Okay. Out of all those,
where? Here?
There. Out of all those, if you're playing the new Xbox, the new Halo, which one are you gonna play Halo on?
On the big one, the TV that I already have.
On your PC that's running a 5090. You ain't gonna play in no stupid little handheld Halo.
Yeah, but on the 12-hour flight to Barcelona, I gotta go do.
That's an off one. It's like, I'm not going on the Barcelona flight. I'm not buying it. The X is going to be, I'll bet you right now, the X is $800, almost $900. What's the difference between the Series X and the Series S? And that's those two right there.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, you're literally talking about a color. Well, I mean so this one has a 1 terabyte hard drive. It's got the
sick ass green thumbstick. I like that.
I think the color. We can have them both. Oh, this one right here gets pressure sensitive, like the Xbox controller.
Oh.
On the analog stick here. This one doesn't.
And how fast do these get outdated? Is it once a year?
Well, I mean, yeah, we got to see when the Ally came out because we went from Z1 to Z2.
Yeah, like
So I would
the
say, yeah,
Switch. The
at
Switch has
within
at
18
least
months.
10 years of life, dude. You spend $500 and you're good for 8 to 10 years. If you're telling me the Z2 came out 2 years ago and every 2 years they're going to bring out a new one, your model is going to get outdated so quick.
Yeah, no, all right. Let's call it here $700, $900. That's what we're gonna go at. I think it's a huge mistake. I think it's a huge mistake. I think if they want to sell, it's gotta be 500 and 700.
I'm telling you right now, no, they're not going to do that. Nintendo is being super generous.
I think if they want to kick Nintendo's butt, it comes out at $400.
But no one's competing with Nintendo. So I'm telling you, they're playing their own game. They're like the weird kid in the corner that's just throwing the handball against the wall by himself instead of playing nation ball or dodgeball. They're just playing their own game, dude. Leave them alone.
Leave them alone. I did not realize this dumb thing has controllers. This is nice. I want one now.
Yeah, you should have gotten it. They're sold out. You could probably get on eBay for like twice the market.
No, they haven't even come out yet. They'll come out around Christmas. I should have gotten this one. I'm mad now that I didn't buy it. The only reason I didn't buy it is because I still have my original Quest, or what were they called before Quest?
Oculus.
Yeah, I have my original Oculus.
I never used it.
Yeah,
I have that one.
Remember you and I went on a chase all over Orange County trying to find one?
You found it pretty fast, didn't you? Or was it over in Yorba Linda?
Orange, I think we went to the one on Tustin.
Oh yeah.
And then I got the Quest 2. I got the Quest 2 and I never used it. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to waste $400.
I don't see a kid. If you're telling me that Nintendo's going out of business because of Roblox, this is going out of business first. This VR stuff, dude. I'm telling you right now. This is more easily for kids to play. I'm not gonna have my kid running around with a freaking thing on their head. You know what I mean?
That's what these little cameras are for so you can see the outside world.
I've used it. I've used it. It's awesome. It's just like my kid's not gonna do that. My kid's gonna play Pokemon, like a kid should. Alex.
I done my kids wrong.
Yeah, you did. They should have been doing the rare candy glitch. That's my first thing I'm gonna do with my kid. He's like, hey, what's underneath that truck right there? Oh, that's the number 151 Pokemon, Mew. That wasn't even a thing, dude.
All right, folks. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Danny, we'll see you next week.
See you later.